Hey, we're back with new music in the intro from Grunkle Scott Giavo. Whoa! Welcome everybody to another jam-packed action edition of David Lee Madison's The End of the Night. I'm David Lee Madison, and I seem to be awfully hyper, so I apologize to everybody in advance. This is my dear friend and co-host and producer extraordinaire, Mr. Joe Ridgely. Joe, how are you tonight?
I am excellent. I'm really excited about this episode, especially after the fact that you told me there were comic books involved. So
Yes, absolutely psyched. Tonight we have the extraordinarily talented actress Patti Tippo on tonight. She was involved with films like Ed Wood, and she just has an amazing career. And why I'm specifically so excited is because she was a part of my favorite television show of all time, Sledgehammer. But we will get to that in a little bit. Miss Tippo will be joining us. I got to speak to her and meet her maybe about a week to 10 days ago. She's extraordinarily sweet and charming, and you guys will find out in just a bit. Mr. Ridgely, how are you? How was your weekend? What's cooking with you in the world of everything Ridgely? What's cooking with you in everything the Indie Escape Network?
Indie Escape Network is doing great. Thank you. CJ has an all-new show tomorrow. I believe JW has one on Wednesday as well, and then Brandon's going to be up on Friday. So we're definitely looking forward to those, and I'm looking to see if I missed anything. Oh, and Gabe hasn't let us know yet for Tuesday night.
Sweet. Now, I think we're going to be taking the next 2 weeks off because of 4th of July, and I think it's my wife's birthday the weekend after.
I was going to say I didn't know about the.
It's July. My wife's birthday is July 11th, so I'm assuming it's the weekend after the 4th of July. If math works to the way I think it does. I don't know.
Right on.
Let me ask you something, Joe. Have we ever had an Academy Award-winning actor or actress on this show before? I know we had Academy Award nominated people in Bill Gibson, who was nominated for the Power of Love for Back to the Future, and John McNaughton, I think, was nominated for Mad Dog and Glory. But have we ever actually had a winner on?
Now that you mention it, I don't recall.
I don't know. We've had literally, I think, over 100 guests already, and I'm not sure if I remember. But I think when we return, we're going to return with an Academy Award-winning actress. So stay tuned for that.
Very cool.
Well, tell us a little bit about that lovely venture that your beautiful wife and daughter are working on.
Well, thank you. Yes, it would be Hearts of the Mystic Folk. Let's see. Check out their line of awesome all-natural scented wax melts, wickless candles, and room sprays available in a variety of fun and seasonal scents. But wait, there's more. If my computer would cooperate, there would probably be more.
I like the new graphic. Sweet.
Also, go to David Lee Madison's Facebook page, David Lee Madison's The End of the Night Facebook page, also the Indie Escape Facebook page, YouTube channel, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. There's too many symbols. It gets a little absurd.
Sweet. And since our last show, I have signed on to do 5 conventions. The first one that I announced was I'm doing the South Carolina Horror Con.
I saw that one.
And in oddly enough, South Carolina, in September of 2023. me, Brian, and Scott are doing Big Apple Comic Con this December, and the other four will be announced over the course of the next week. So check out if you want to come out and throw pieces of bologna at me.
Do you recall if there was anything in Florida?
No, I do my best to stay out of Florida. So yeah, no, nothing in Florida. But if anybody in Florida really loves me, they can drive to South Carolina and see me. I actually have one in Georgia too. I think you guys, I think Florida and you guys are close to each other, right? Carolina and Georgia.
Yeah, I think Georgia. I think they may connect.
There's something like relatively close. So if you, anybody who's in Florida, I'm just kidding. I love Florida. Kind of. Anything north of Orlando is pretty epic.
Wow. Not a big fan of the Keys?
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Ladies and gentlemen, Ken McKiernan, how are you, my friend? I hope you are well. I saw the lovely and talented Carrie Werner was watching. I hope you are well, Carrie. Thank you for watching. You're awesome. And there might be some really big news coming up soon with Libby McDermott, Matt Staley, Jim Crut. So just stay tuned with that. Too.
Is that the kind of, I kind of got that impression a few days ago?
Yeah, they might be working with somebody who's enormously talented this week, and working on something really, really, really cool. So
I hope they have a great time with Mr. Schiaffo.
Yes. Yeah. Speaking of which, without further ado, let's bring on our third amigo, our brother from another mother, the lovely and talented Grunkle Scott Schiaffo. Grunkle Scott, how are you, brother?
Oh yeah, I'm doing good. Joe, thank you for the chuckle. That was fun.
My pleasure.
But doing great, guys. Good to be here.
That's awesome. How was your week?
I was going to say uneventful, but actually it was eventful. Summer is here. It's getting pretty hot. Pretty hot. And, I'm not the biggest fan of summer, but the weather's been nice, and we got the pool going. And what else? I'm not a pool guy, but we got the pool going.
Okay.
So that's a subtle way of telling you summer's here.
That's the way of Scott saying that he wouldn't survive in Florida.
No, I'm not a. Look, I was a giant, picked on, wacky, out of shape, unathletic kid. Us guys,
nothing's changed.
Of beaches in summer and pool parties and shirts and skins was a nightmare, and so I've got a whole head full of bad wiring when it comes to the summer. So I don't want to taint the summer for other people. I know it's not a popular opinion to.
You know what's funny? You're humble though, Scott, because even though you say those things, you're in extraordinarily good shape.
Thank you. I am at this juncture. I probably, I'm actually, I weigh less than I did when we shot Clerks.
Really?
Well, just quickly, because I went back to doing the walking, which David knows. I got back to doing my steps last year because of the Clerks 3 shoot. Pandemic, I beefed up a little bit. And I said, I want to get back down as close to the outfit because I have most of the clothes. And luckily enough for me, it happened. But since then, I've dipped down below. So I'm actually lighter than I was when we shot the movie. So thank you for that. But no, I was not a fan of the summertime because I was such a geeky kid. And, we got pummeled in the summer. It was true.
I'm sorry.
You make it sound like you grew up in Harlem or South Philly or something, dude. Was it really that bad?
No. Let me clarify. My childhood was actually really awesome. I had a lot of really cool friends, but I wasn't athletic. And back then, the unathletic kid got a little bit of what for that was unpleasant. But I mean, I wasn't terrible compared to what some go through. We're talking about like maybe getting stuffed in a locker or getting something taken from you. I wasn't really getting really badly hurt, but I was still terrified. So whatever.
Oh, wait. I need to step over to this. You don't have to block me away because I'll be back in 2 seconds. But I want to show you guys something really cool I just bought.
Hopefully it's an anti-bullying thing. All of a sudden this turned into a bullying thing. I'm sorry.
No worries. Hey, needs to be said.
I mean, the chubby kid doesn't like to
Bear
be.
with me 1 second.
He doesn't have his earbuds in. He can't hear us that we're talking.
All right. What smarmy thing are you saying about me when I can't hear you?
That was exactly it. You were talking over Scott because you couldn't hear him.
Oh, my apologies, Mr. Schiaffo. I apologize. As everybody who watches this show knows, I am currently putting the finishing touches on my first werewolf film, Full Moon Fever, which will be out this October in theaters. I'm super excited about. But this week, I was able to find a toy that I've been going batshit crazy looking for. It's almost, I know you're really keen on toys and stuff, Joe. So you probably know how difficult it is to find this particular one. But I was able, while on vacation up in Lake George, to find the Kessler Werewolf from American Werewolf in London. And this has got to be the coolest effing toy I ever seen. It's the American Werewolf. He comes with two heads. You can see one up there in the upper corner. I'm trying to make it a little easier. Upper corner. One's like an attack head, and one's more of that's the regular head right there. You can see it on the side. And not only is toy like one of the coolest, but I mean, look how sick the packaging is on this toy. I mean, the Kessler. I don't know why they. Do you know why they call it the Kessler Werewolf from American Werewolf in London, Joe?
No.
But
Now, is that
is
your only American Werewolf in London piece?
yes, this is my only American Werewolf in London toy. Why is there more?
Oh, yeah.
No, I didn't know that.
Well, I
I
thought
was-
by now you had to show us something else because I know that you have a long association with the film. I thought you had
Yeah.
something else.
No. Well, I actually have a prosthetic from the film, but it's not a toy.
Oh, that's true.
I
And you
have one of-
must have some signed things. I know you have a lot of signed things, right?
I have literally one of Rick Baker's werewolf heads, which is pretty
There you
epic.
go.
But that's mounted on a piece of wood in my office upstairs. But
Well, we got to take a tour of that sometime.
if I can climb, it's literally like I'm a hoarder in that room, and if I can climb through that room, we could have a lot of fun looking at some goofy crap in there. But I was super excited to get the Kessler Werewolf. I don't know. I'm an old geek. What can I tell you? All right. Without further ado, as I said earlier, I reached out to this beautiful young lady to come on our show because I'm such an enormous fan of her work, not only in Sledgehammer, but literally tons of things she's done. Star Trek: The Next Generation. She was on Hill Street Blues, Sid and Nancy, Ed Wood. Her list of credits really is just spectacular. And when I reached out to her, she was so incredibly kind and incredibly sweet. She agreed right away to come on and join us. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Patti Tippo. Hi, Patti. How are you?
Hi, you guys. I'm good, thank you. How are you?
We are wonderful. I was hoping that you were going to be kind enough to sit through the train wreck that was the first 12 minutes of the show. So,
Yep,
what-
I saw it all.
with that being said, thank you so much for actually sticking it out and
My pleasure. You guys are hilarious.
Oh, no, Dave, you don't understand. She disappeared for a minute, and I got nervous.
oh yeah.
You
well,
thought I was like, that's it. I've had it.
she's like, I'm cutting out. I've had enough of these clowns. Luckily, with your amazing career, you probably did a lot of Broadway shows and television programs that had shticky kind of stuff like this. So I'm sure you're an old pro at it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, comedy, is comedy. I mean, you just go. It's awesome.
Maybe someday I'll learn something about it. So how are you this evening? How have you been? How's
Oh my
life?
gosh,
What are you out on the West Coast?
No.
Oh, you're not. You're on the East Coast. That's right. I
Well,
forgot.
here's my thing. I
Right.
just moved to Atlanta, Georgia.
Sweet.
I have been here for 6 months.
Mhm.
And this is my first experience with humidity. So I'm a little schwitzy,
Yeah.
but I brought a fan in case it got bad. But it's it is gorgeous. It is absolutely gorgeous. I really love it.
Sweet. You know, it's funny.
Wow.
Atlanta has become a hotbed of cinema. I think all the MCU movies are being shot in Atlanta now. A lot of television programs are
And
being
they
shot.
are building so many studios. It seems like the studio building is all the rage now.
Mhm.
And they even have one that's going to be all green, solar powered everything. But they're just it's a thing. They're just being built everywhere. So they're really anticipating everything to be shot here.
Oh, that's awesome. I mean, it's a beautiful city. I do think it gets a little hot down there, but I guess it's no hotter than Los Angeles. So,
It's a different kind of heat. In
Mhm.
Los Angeles, it kind of stabs you, you know.
Right.
But here, it just kind of like envelops you, like
You know what's funny?
everywhere. It's like you're wearing it. It's crazy.
I just recently got home from close to an 8,000-mile road trip, and
Oh, fantastic!
I pretty much saw every every state in that we're all connected here. And it's funny, you notice things like Los Angeles was kind of muggy hot, where Texas was unbelievably hot if you're in the sun, but if you're in the shade, it's absolutely gorgeous. There's like no humidity in Texas.
Wow.
It's wonderfully, wonderful, beautiful place. Have you ever been to San Antonio, like the Riverwalk?
Funny you should ask. That is where Ace Ventura, where When Nature Calls,
Okay.
was shot.
Oh, wow.
And I was in that, and that's the only time I've been. I've always wanted to go back. That was so beautiful.
Yeah, the Riverwalk is
The
one of the most
Riverwalk
beautiful.
was great. Yeah.
And what's great about it is that it's all in the shade because it's submerged above below street level. And even though it might be 100 degrees in San Antonio that day, but because of the cool streams of the water and because there's no sun beating down on you, it's absolutely gorgeous down there. So tell us a little bit about Patti, a young Patti Tippo in grammar school or high school. What made you want to become a performer or work in the performing arts?
Well, I went to, I was in Eugene, Oregon
Mhm.
for fourth, fifth, and sixth grade. And this little school, the little elementary school I was at, had gotten this grant from New York. They were doing these experiments basically to see what would happen if they gave a school a lot of time and energy and money for the arts. So they built a wooden floor over the gymnasium, and ballet companies would come. There was a lot of the students from the University of Oregon would come and perform for us. They would teach classes. We did a lot of cool science things and like things like glass blowing, and I was just really, really taken with the theater that would come to our school. And that's how it got started. And here's the other thing. I have dyslexia, and it was always much easier for me to, instead of writing out a report, if I just acted it out, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, and the teachers thought like, oh my God, isn't it amazing? When really it was just me like doing, getting through it the only way I knew I could.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of where it started. In fourth grade, I just became really enamored of the theater. And then I moved to the San Fernando Valley. My father got a job at Northridge University. And at the university, there was an amazing program there called the Teenage Drama Workshop. But it's like a lot of really amazing people went there. Kevin Spacey, Mare Winningham, Ari Gross. I mean, a lot of great people. Anyway, so it was just like, it's that thing. It's like when the bug bites,
Mm-hmm.
that's it. You're done. That's going to be your life,
No, absolutely. Now,
Yeah.
when you were younger, did you have an actor or actress that you really gravitated to that kind of helped you form what type of performer you were going to be? Was there somebody that you really, really liked as a child or as a young
Yeah.
person?
Glenda Jackson.
Glenda Jackson.
Yep. I was, oh my God. My parents were strict. I was
Mhm.
not allowed to watch television except for Masterpiece Theater
Ah.
and Get Smart, funnily enough, because that was,
Safe.
yeah, but my dad liked Get Smart. But Mel Brooks had to do with Get Smart, and he later had something to do with Sledgehammer, so that was funny. And then Laugh-In. I was allowed to watch Laugh-In. Anyway, but it was really Masterpiece Theater.
Wow.
Wow,
Yeah,
before-
and I went to go see in New York. I went and saw Glenda Jackson do King Lear a couple years back on Broadway. She was
Now-
King Lear. It was amazing. Oh, it was so good.
I am, I'm embarrassed because when somebody brings up a name of an actor or actress, usually 99 out of 100 times I could rattle off 5 or 6 things that performer was known for. Glenda Jackson, the name is in here. I just can't picture. What was there? Was
There's
she?
nothing really. I mean, she did Salome. She did. Oh God, it's just those English actors that really we didn't see much of
Okay.
in those days, or really ever, because they were really the theater. And
Right.
I'm not thinking of other films that she did, but yeah, I was just mesmerized by her. Just
Yeah,
because she was just so gutsy and honest and amazing.
I think she was on the BBC's version of Sherlock Holmes. I might be wrong.
Probably.
Jeremy Brett's version back in the early '80s, maybe. I don't know. Well, that's really, really cool. So you're going through high school. I assume you're doing high school plays.
Well, actually, no. I was kind of a rebel, and I was too cool for school, and because I did really great theater during the summer, I couldn't really bear the high school scene, so I taught classes instead.
Oh, sweet.
Wow.
Then what I would do is I would get double credit, so that I could leave early.
That's slick.
Yeah.
Nicely done.
Now, I see your very first 2 credits are 10 to Midnight and The Party Animal. Tell us how you got involved in the early part of your films.
I have a little. Okay. I don't know what Party Animal is.
Okay.
I get restaurals for it every now and then. I have no idea what it is.
Wow.
Okay.
So either when I was young, I would just end up because you're just doing whatever you can. You're like looking. There was a publication called the Drama Log way back when. I think it's Backstage West now, and it's digital, whatever. But you'd go out and get the Drama Log, and you'd look for all the open auditions, and you would just do whatever you can. And I think maybe I did something and I didn't even know what it was, and maybe that's what that is.
Okay.
I don't know. Anyway, Sledge. Let's see, the other one. What did you mention?
10 to Midnight. It's
That
your
was
first credit.
Yeah. I'm reluctant to talk about it.
Okay.
It was my first agent, and I was helping a friend with their scene for the agency. So they weren't ready to see it. So I was going to be the woman in his scene, whatever. So we went and we did the scene, and then I don't even remember what it was or his name or anything. And then we went across the street and had a drink at La Dome. I don't know if you remember La Dome, but it was just such an industry place. It was on Sunset Boulevard. It was gorgeous and it was phenomenal. It was just so exciting. I mean, just you just did a scene for an agent, and now you're having
a Charles Bronson movie.
La Dome. Anyway, this agent was Oh my God. I don't know. I don't even know what he was. His name was, it was the David Wilder Agency. And he basically made his money from young girls with big boobs. Okay. So that's all I'll say about 10 to midnight.
Okay.
And
I'm
then
sorry. I didn't mean to touch a nerve. I apologize.
no, sweetie, I'm just no nerve touched. I was just explaining to you, but we can move on now.
All right. Tell us how you got involved with Hill Street Blues, one of the biggest television shows of all time.
Well, babe, it was just, I finally mustered. It was a different agent,
Mm-hmm.
and I just auditioned, and I had auditioned for them for a part. What was that girl's name who got it? And it was it. I went up for it so many times. Jennifer. She has a real baby voice. Jennifer. She's tall.
Tilly.
Yeah.
Tilly.
And so it was me and her against one another for this role. And it was about the bimbo married to this man that was so big he got buried in a piano box, in a piano. They used a piano to bury him because he was so large. Anyway, so I had gone up for that role several times, and so they kind of knew me. And so anyway, yeah, they called me in and I did it, and I was excited because it was really one of the first things that I did that was major, and then I got to be on. I remember just because in those days you got scripts delivered to your house, and because there wasn't the internet, and kept getting more lines. They were just like adding more, and it was so exciting. So
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is a great story.
Mm-hmm. And you got involved with Sid and Nancy. How did that happen?
Sid and Nancy, it's really funny because I don't know how I met all those people, but I did. And because it was like Los Angeles was small, the theater community was, I don't know, it was just like we were like a pool of young people out doing our thing, really passionate. And so I don't know if my agent got me up for it. Anyway, I went in on it, and it was Vicki Thomas's first casting job, and God bless her, she sat there and she spent a half an hour telling me of the whole movie. And so I went home and I read the Nancy Spungen biography, and I was ready to come in, and because they liked me, and I ended up getting 5 auditions for that, and for the role of Nancy. And the last audition was with Gary Oldman, and when I walked in, he came up to about here on me.
Oh.
And I was like, okay, that's not good. And it was odd. I didn't have a connection with him. It was like we were both acting, but we weren't acting together. It was really frustrating. And I was like, dude, you already have the part. Come on, help me out, man, Anyway, so I didn't get that part. But they called me at a certain point and said, hey, can you come to set tomorrow? We need you to be Britt Eklund. And I ended up like, no, it was so strange that I had built a relationship with these people because I kept on seeing them, And so I was like, sure, yeah, whatever. I said, oh, and bring any 60s stuff you have. I was like, well, you're fortunate because as an actress, I have tons of 60s stuff, But so I brought what I had, and so I get all ready, and they call me to set, and they're ready to film. That they put everybody, and then Alex Cox, who's very lanky and tall, he's like, and action, and everybody looked at me, and nothing happened, and then he said, oh, she hasn't seen a script yet. Oh my God. Okay. All right. I mean, so they told me what I needed to say, whatever. I don't even think anything that I said was in it, but that was my experience there. But When I saw the film, I thought that Chloe Webb did such an extraordinary job. I felt like that was her Nancy Sledge. I mean, that was her role, hands down. And
So you were being called in numerous times for the Nancy role.
yeah, I was the second choice.
Wow. And you read with Oldham only the one time?
Yes, that's right.
And you're saying at that point in his life, he was, but this is just not giving, not a very giving guy, not a very giving.
I don't know what, I don't know him personally, so I can't really talk about him being a giving person or not. But at the moment, at the time, I felt like we weren't connecting. So I was after the audition, I was like, well, that was nice, that was fun, but at least I got to be in it, and I still know all of those people.
Sure, Alex.
I ended up working on 2 other films with Xander Berkeley. You know Xander Berkeley?
I don't.
Oh, okay.
Do you, Joe?
I'm laughing.
Oh.
Okay. I thought everybody knew Xander Berkeley, but I guess they don't.
Are you familiar with?
Yeah, I ended up living with him for like 8 years, and we almost got married and stuff. And he's a big actor now. Anyway, he was on 24. He started movies. He's a big deal.
Sweet.
But we're still friends.
Awesome.
Anyway, so I saw him there, and then we were also working on a play at the Actors Gang, which is Tim Robbins' company. And anyway, so that was my story. And like I said, I still know those people. And Abby Wool, the co-writer of Sid and Nancy, went on to write her own movie, and it was called Roadside Prophets.
Oh, that's with the one of the guys from and Adam Horowitz.
And Adam Horowitz.
Yeah.
And I had a wonderful time working with them. I did a great scene with the 2 of them, and that was thrilling.
Wow, that's such an underrated film.
Not many people know about it, but
underseen film, yeah.
You have an unbelievable glow and passion for this work. It's very, very exhilarating to see somebody who's so excited about performance, and it's really wonderful. This show is very, very popular in the indie filmmaking community, and to see somebody who's had a wonderful career like yourself be so excited still and still have such a wonderful passion and fire for it is just wonderful. It's just
thank you.
Well, I want to get to one of my favorite years in history, 1986.
That was a good year.
It was a great year. I just started high school at LaSalle Academy. The New York Mets had won the World Series. It was probably the only time this sad sap is going to see his beloved Mets win the World Series. And my very favorite show of all time, and I'm not kidding, Sledgehammer comes on the air. Now, Patty, I want to show you my graduation picture. Now, take this. I went to LaSalle Academy, a prestigious Catholic military school. Think about what an oxymoron that is. And it was a very, very stiff kind of New Englandish all boys prep Catholic high school. And this was my high school graduation picture. Everybody quoted like great quotes of all time. This is what I quoted.
Very bottom line. Trust me. I know what I'm doing.
Look at your hair. You were just talking to me about how your hair is funky because you fell asleep.
You know what's funny? It hasn't changed in 40 years. Look at that. It's the same exact.
You can tell he went to an all-boys school. Look at that mustache.
Hi.
Thank you.
Great.
Do you know how difficult it was to grow that mustache? It took me like the first 17 years of my life to get that. So just to give you an idea of what an absolute Sledgehammer geek I was, I wanted to show you my actual high school picture. And this is the part of the show where I'm probably going to bore the shit out of you because it's probably just a very, very small part of what was an enormous career. But tell us a little bit about what it was like working on Sledgehammer. Now, for people out there who don't know Sledgehammer, Sledgehammer was a show that was on in the mid to late 80s on ABC. And it was kind of a parody of the Dirty Harry films, where our hero Sledgehammer was very much like Dirty Harry, and he would go out and get a different bad guy every week while talking to his gun. It was absolutely hysterically written, and you got to be a regular on the show as Officer Daly. You were absolutely beautiful and charming on the show. Tell us a little bit about what it was like working on, in all honesty, since its rebirth on DVD and Blu-ray and all those has become the beloved cult classic it deserves to be, because Patti, that show is funny as hell. And it's very, very, very sophisticatedly funny. There were jokes that 99% of the audience doesn't get because they were just so complexly funny. But everything about the show, from the writing to the performances to the ensemble cast, it was just brilliant. And I'm in awe talking to anybody involved in that show. So tell us a little bit about what it was like working on Sledgehammer.
Well, it was exhilarating. I mean, because it was a comedy. It's always really exciting to be doing comedy. There's a little buzz, and it was thrilling because every week there was a different, when you're doing episodic, there's a different director every month, every week. And we had wonderful directors like Jackie Cooper from Spanky and Our Gang.
Yep, and Superman.
Bill Bixby. And so and there's this wonderful director named Reza Badi. We were always excited when he was around. I don't know what else. I should look him up, see what else he's done. But it was thrilling. And, there's nothing. And at the time I was so young and full of myself that I just imagined that this is how the rest of my life would be. So I kind of took it for granted that just going to work every day, or at least, 3 or 4 times a week, it was just, that's how it was going to be. But my life it wasn't like that. But it's an amazing feeling. It was really wonderful. Alan Spencer is incredibly talented, and so it was a great learning time for me too, because to be on a TV show and just working every week, because back then there was a shroud of mystery over the entertainment industry. And in acting class or in college, whatever, it was like it's just like, well, you just act in the theater. And, you act the same way on film. And it's not true. Mm-hmm. And I did not have the tools to negotiate a film set. I didn't know what I was doing. I mean, so I was having to really figure everything out. So it was a wonderful time to be there all the time to just check it out and see how it works, Mm-hmm.
You had that.
What?
That's the experience you had on Sledgehammer?
Yeah.
You were learning to become a camera smart actor?
Yeah, trying. I mean, it's still it's
I love
ongoing.
that you share that, because people don't realize, now it's a different world. But certainly back then, all there was network television and VHS, and there was so much less opportunity and content. And it was like a special club. Nobody knew how to get in.
Exactly. And it wasn't talked about. And in all the acting class, you just do scene work. You don't, now it's completely different. They work with cameras and all of that stuff. But back then it was unknown. So yeah, it was, I had a friend who put it well, that it's like, you can be a painter or a sculptor. You're still an artist, but it's two very different crafts, you know? Anyway, so yeah. So it was a wonderful experience.
I am absolutely thrilled to hear that because when you adore something as much as I adore that show, you like to hear that the people making it enjoyed making it. But I guess it wouldn't have been as good if people who were involved with it were trudging through it because you could actually see that in performance. Scott, something you had just mentioned is back when the show was on in the 80s, it was literally, I guess it was a 4-network world because Fox had just popped up a year or two earlier. And what we don't realize is that a show like Sledgehammer, which routinely came in third in its time slot, which is an absolute crime because it was the best show on television. But sadly, ABC always put it up against they knew what they had. They knew they had a wonderful show. So they would put it up, I think the first season they put it up against Cosby. And the second season they put it up against Miami Vice. And they really didn't give it much of a chance to survive. But with that being said, even a third place show had between 17 and 20 million viewers every week. And if you think about that in terms of today, if a show had 17 to 20 million viewers every week, it would be on, it'd be the number one show by a long shot. Shows that are number one in 2022 have between 9 and 12 million viewers, which is literally what like the 65th show when Sledgehammer was on would have gone.
Wow.
So yeah, so
I think did when you were looking, I think did Mel Brooks ever come direct any episodes?
I don't think so.
Because he was a big he was like Alan Spencer's mentor.
I think Daniel
And he was
Attidah.
around.
Yeah, and Alan liked Mel Brooks, and I think he was a big Marty Feldman guy. Is from what
Yeah,
I
yeah.
read.
Yeah, there was another show that that Alan wrote after that called The Nut House. Were you familiar with that?
I'm not. No.
Okay. So there was a set. Was it on the Universal lot? There was a big set of a hotel. And it took place in this hotel. There was Harvey Korman, Cloris Leachman.
Okay.
And I'm not in the two young stars. Anyway, I played a maid on it, but Alan, and it was I think Mel Brooks created that and Alan wrote it. It was a short-lived experience, but I'll tell you, working with Cloris Leachman was a trip.
Wow.
We all hated her because as an actor, she was always like experimenting with stuff, trying to figure out like how to work it in, how to do interesting stuff. And the crew, well, they didn't have time for that. They wanted, can't like TV time is like you have to go, 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 go. But she being a real actor was taking a lot of time and doing things in such a way that was not time efficient. So they didn't like her, but she was a trip. And I'll tell you, she and Harvey Korman, they were hilarious together. And she would, as she was talking to him, but how do I put this? She would often just like, they would be laughing and she would just grab his penis. And then they would laugh some more. And then she would do it again. It was like a shtick. Man, you certainly couldn't do that nowadays, It was a trip.
I like how she said it was a shtick. Yes.
Damn it, I never worked with Cloris Leachman. I'm upset now.
Right?
Actually, did you see the movie Prancer? It's a Christmas movie with Sam Elliott about a little girl who finds an injured Santa's reindeer Prancer injured. No?
I don't know. Was it animated?
No.
Animated?
It was a live action movie.
Oh.
It starred Sam Elliott and Abe Vigoda and Cloris Leachman. And it's one of those films that Cloris Leachman literally eats up every scene of. It's just an absolutely fantastic movie. If you have not seen it, check it out. All right. I want to just ask you one or two more questions about Sledgehammer, and then I swear I will allow us to move on.
Please.
Now, when you guys were making Sledgehammer, were you talking, Joe? Your mic's off. Oh, okay. I thought I saw you going.
No, I'm sorry. I have a sick dog in my studio.
Oh, is he barfing up like a fur ball or something?
Sick dog.
Okay. My apologies. Sick dog. I hate when that happens. Uh, now the sick dog threw me off of my unbelievably interesting question about Sledgehammer. Oh, now when you guys were making Sledgehammer, did you realize that you were making something that was going to have such staying power and something that was going to literally become a cult classic? Because most times when people make cult classics, they don't know it. No.
Not at
Can you,
all.
can you give us some of the history of what that was 2 seasons? 2 seasons?
I know I worked on it for 2 years. I think it was on before. I mean, before I came on, it had been going for a little while.
I think it was actually, they called it 2 seasons, but it played over 3 years. The first season played, an entire run of, I guess, 26 episodes or whatever it was back then. The second year, I think, came in as a mid-season replacement, and then they played the second part of year 2 in '88, as I recall. Now the show was extraordinarily clever because after the very last episode of the first season, I suspect the makers realized the writing was on the wall and it was going to be very difficult to get renewed. And in the very last episode, there's a nuclear bomb in the middle of the city, and of course, the fate of the entire city is in Sledgehammer's hands, and he's there with Duro and Captain Trunk around the top of a nuclear warhead, and he's trying to disarm it. And Duro looks at him and says something to the effect like, "Sledge, what are you doing?" And he looks right in the camera and goes, "Trust me, I know what I'm doing." He turns the top, and all of a sudden you see nothing but a nuclear mushroom cloud. And you thought the show ended with Sledgehammer blowing up. Was it San Francisco or L.A.?
I don't remember.
I think it's blowing up all of Los Angeles. But because there was such an outcrying of people who adored the show, ABC decided to greenlight a second season. And before the very first episode of season 2, a screen came up before the first episode, and it says, "The producers want to notify you that the second season of Sledgehammer takes place exactly 1 year before that nuclear blast. Have a nice day."
That's brilliant.
It was just absolutely brilliant stuff. It was a just very, very funny show. And it was like, not only was it an enormous hit when it came out about, I think, 10 or 15 years ago on DVD, but back in the 80s, Marvel Comics even spawned a Marvel comic series for Sledgehammer. Joe, I think you have a couple of their covers. That was issue 1 of Sledgehammer, the comic book by the great Marvel comic book company, and I think that's actually a very famous Marvel character. Is that Black Widow behind him, Joe? You're a great comic book person, or is that Black Cat? That's one of the
starring Santana.
What?
Starring Santana. Bottom right corner. What is that? Guest starring Santana, right?
I don't think it's a.
If so, your vision is a whole lot better than mine, sir.
Emmett from Haven from Heroes is on. Emmett, if you could tell us who that character
guest
behind
starring
Sledge
Santana. That's what it says.
Okay, I have no idea who that is. I thought it was a more famous, like Black Cat. And then there was is that issue 2 that I sent you? I think. Yeah. There's issue 2. It's literally Sledgehammer with Captain Trunk.
Amazing.
With, oddly enough, the iconic Spider-Man shooting at Sledgehammer.
That is fantastic. I've never seen those before.
Yeah, it was a 6-issue limited run of Sledgehammer on Marvel comic books. After the show had ended, it was just a part of the enormous impact it made on pop culture. Did you ever get to work with Bixby as a director?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Tell us a little bit about. I mean, Bill Bixby is one of the most iconic actors in television history. What was it like?
Just lovely. He was just such like the quintessential 70s guy, with the pressed jeans with the crease down the middle, just like perfect hair, just like awesome dude. I mean, he's just such a great vibe and just super cool. I mean, that what was that members only kind of jacket? It was
Yeah.
he was awesome. Just
He was Alan Thicke before Alan Thicke was Alan Thicke.
yeah.
Ah,
Yeah, just the loafers because he was wealthy.
Yeah. Well, Patty,
But
I could talk to you for days, and I want to touch on a few things quickly because
yes.
I'm sorry that I stayed on Sledgehammer so long. Not only did you get to be a regular on one of the most iconic comedies of all time in Sledgehammer, but you also got to work with Star Trek: The Next Generation. Am I breaking this to you, or did you know this already?
No, it just was sad because I was supposed to be a recurring character.
Uh-huh.
There was like a possibility, so it was exciting. And so I wish that would have happened, but it didn't.
But I mean, you know how many people would like give their eyes just to be an extra on Star Trek: The Next Generation?
yeah, just to wear one of the uniforms and.
Yeah, I know. I wish it had gone further. It was cool, and I was Nurse Temple, and I guess, I forget who she was named after, like somebody's wife or something. Whatever. It was sad that it didn't go anywhere, but it was super groovy, and it's that thing of just Hollywood magic. You see it on the screen, and it's so amazing, and then you go, and it's like, I don't want to say rinky dink, but the sets are just, they're just really kind of like little sets.
No, I hear you.
Rinky dink.
No, it's like they're not impressive. It's a non-impressive set, but it looks so good. So
no,
right,
absolutely.
so much is done in post. There's a lot done in post.
yeah.
Yep.
Well, and nowadays it's a whole different world.
It's
But
all post. Yeah.
Yeah, everybody, all these movies, the actors are literally just working in front of green backgrounds and green boxes. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Do you have any cool stories about working with the great Tim Burton and Johnny Depp on Ed Wood?
I had known Johnny Depp because I went out with a guy who was on Platoon and that movie Platoon and Johnny Depp. So that we had parties and stuff. And so there was a short amount of time where I kind of hung in that circle. Just the nicest, most unassuming, sweet young man. I mean, just great guy. And I remember I gave him a ride home once, and just a person. I mean, just great. Everybody was we were all in the same boat, just so young and just brimming with excitement for life and movies and the theater and acting. It's just like we're just so on fire with all of it. So it was cool to see him when I was on Ed Wood. And Ed Wood, I believe, was cast by Vicki Thomas, who did Sid and Nancy. And also at the time, I was still kind of am in a way, I mean, with the Actors Gang. And so because there was a lot of these people who had been to UCLA from the Actors Gang. So anyway, I know a lot of people in that movie. And Martin Landau, later on, Barbara Bain, his wife, was on our board. And she would say things like, "You kids ought to be shot for having such a good time." But anyway, so it was thrilling. The time when I worked, it was an abandoned, not abandoned. Yeah, I guess it was abandoned, old mental institution, like down south, like in Torrance or something, and it was so creepy. And there, like the rooms had the beds bolted down, and then there were these like machines that were really old that looked like tubes where they would do like the water treatments. They would put the people in there and flood them out or whatever. It was nuts. And so what they had done, how did they do it? They they needed to, because of turnaround, they could only work actors a certain amount of time before they have to come back the next day. So we did part of the scenes. We did the close-ups on Johnny Depp and Martin Landau over my shoulder and all that stuff during the afternoon. And then they worked more doing other scenes, and then they had me on hold until because those guys were gone. So when it was my turn to do my scene, it was the last shot of the day, and I had to work with a little piece of a little red X. So, but that's the way it goes. But
Absolutely.
yeah. So it's fun.
I could talk to you for hours. I really wanted to talk to you about the Actors Gang. I know that you recently did a play called We Live On, playing the immortal Sally Rand. What can you tell us about that? I mean, this is some of your most recent work. I'm dying to hear about it.
Wow. I know. Okay, so do you know who Studs Terkel is? Studs Terkel.
I know the name, and I should know more about him. Was he one of the first? He's not one of the first cowboys.
Nope. Sounds like it though. But he was a man who interviewed people and made books out of all of the interviews.
Oh.
And he has a handful of books. The one that we were working with was called Hard Times. Yeah, Hard Times. And it was all about people in the 1930s in the Depression. So we had 30 actors doing it. So we had, the play consisted of us talking about these characters in the book, acting it out a little bit, but just talking about the characters. So we would have 10 actors each night tell their story, and there was intercut with music and photos from that time. And so that's what we did. We ran was it last summer? Yeah, all of last summer. And then Tim Robbins, because he's an amazing man. So he co-wrote with us. We would we took the Studs Terkel interviews and then wrote it into the speech we wanted to say, and then send it to Tim. Tim would give us ideas and write it too, and then send it back to us, and then we would get together and try it. But he was doing this. He had 30 actors that he was co-writing with.
Wow.
And he's outrageous. And then once we did it, he had in his mind he wanted to film it. So he got a crew together and with his own money filmed it. And so I don't know what he's going to do with it. We're going to find out. I wish he would put it in the schools, because it was all about the Depression and what people really went through and how it corresponded to what we go through or what we're going through, and it was on the heels of the pandemic back then. And anyway, it was an amazing, amazing play. And the people in the Actors Gang are extraordinarily talented, and they're so committed to the work. And I played Sally Rand. I didn't play her. I talked about her, who was a fan dancer, a woman who became extraordinarily popular and made a ton of money for a woman in the 30s, doing these dances, partially nude with fans.
Wow, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can't believe we got to Tim Robbins of all people, because he's like one of my all-time favorite guys. Really,
he really.
That's true. Well, I mean, he's a handful, but he's definitely in the list. If I had to give you top 10 of the people I've admired and followed over the last 30, 40 years, he's one of them. Wow, that's really phenomenal.
And you had a part in Don't Look Up, which is one of the cooler movies of 2021. How did that come together?
I know.
Working with DiCaprio.
That was really insane. And I'll try to keep. I feel like you guys are running out of time. I'll try to talk fast. So I had, because I'm French, I speak French, and but I moved to the United States when I was 5, and I did not go to school there. So my French is not that great, right? but I could certainly make myself understood. Anyway, I'd worked on this audition for a role on this thing called First Lady as an old-fashioned French teacher. Anyway, so I had that on tape, and then a week or two before, I had done another role where I was speaking in English with a French accent. Anyway, my manager gets this call that they need a French-speaking person, and they wanted this guy who he represents. And my manager was like, look, it's an actor. He was using a French accent. He doesn't speak French. But I have this girl. I have this gal, and she can speak French. So he pitched me to them. And I sent over those auditions that I had done for other things, and they chose me.
Wow.
And it was like, okay, this was on like a Thursday, and it was to be shot on Saturday. And it's like, it was a chunk of presidential French lines. So I was like, oh shit, what am I going to do? Okay. So I called my mom, had her record it so I could, say everything properly. And I was like, okay, I can do that, because I didn't know if it was going to be in French or in English with a French accent. And I had 2 days to memorize it, and I was freaking the F out.
Wow.
And come Saturday when we had to do it. Oh, here's the clencher, the butt clencher, is that the movie had already been shot. It was in the can. It was ready to go. It had been shot months ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like 4 months later that he decided he needed the French president in there. And I was like, okay. So the crew was like this skeleton crew. No one knew what was going on. They were like, oh God, we don't know. It was very tense. And then finally later that day, they hear, because I ended up making myself cue cards. I didn't think I was not going to be able to remember the French, but because I also had to remember the English, and it was chunky. And so later in the afternoon, they heard that he was not going to do it in French. It was such a relief. And we went and shot it, and I did it a handful of times. He changed a few things. The thing about acting for actors of my caliber, because I do lots of tiny parts, let's just face it, that's the truth. I do lots of small parts. You're the last one to know anything. I did not know the story. I did not know who I was talking about or what I was talking about. So it was really difficult to try to make sense of it. And I didn't know who President Bash was, or I didn't know who, whatever her name was, or I didn't, So anyway, so we did it. We did it a handful of times, and we finally got one that he liked. And then when I saw it, I was like, "Oy, why did they bother?" I mean, it went by so fast. There was so much going on. I was like, okay, I guess if that's what you wanted, but because they only used the very last line about the missiles and the UN and stuff like that. And I had a very thick French accent, and out of context, without all that which came before it, it kind of is hard to piece together. Anyway, so that was my experience, but I have to tell you, but funnily enough, Adam McKay is the husband of Shira Piven, who is very good friends with the Actors Gang and Tim Robbins. So again, it's like all these worlds.
Wow.
Totally. Yeah.
You got a pretty awesome gang going there, man. I'm envious.
It's pretty amazing because in when we learned this style that we work in the Actors Gang, they went to Chicago to teach it to Johnny Cusack and that whole group. And so that's where we met a lot of those people.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Robbins and Cusack were really close friends back in the 80s and 90s. They were thick as thieves. They were in each other's movies for a run there. They would always, pop in. But I can identify and relate to what you're saying as a character actor it's really rare that all I get are my pages.
So me too.
Yeah, you don't get the whole
That's
thing.
what I'm talking about.
Why would you? Yeah.
And then they started doing this thing where it's like, that you're not allowed to read the script. It's all hush hush. You have to sign, these things that you can't say anything. I mean, I understand now with social media, but man, just like when I worked on, what was it? Man, I'm not remembering now the name of that hospital movie that was so popular. And I mean, that series about the hospital.
ER?
No, I worked on that, but the other one, Grey's Anatomy. You can, Scott, you're going to totally identify with this. They shot the second part of, I had like 3 scenes, maybe 4. They shot the end first. Okay, so I did the end like I was, going to do it. And then other stuff happened during that week, and then 5 days go by, and then we're going to shoot the beginning. Well, within those 5 days, they've changed the script. So what I was doing for the end now no longer makes sense because I needed to do because now the beginning was different.
Right.
And it's stuff like, and I had, again, it was very intense storylines, but I didn't know. You have to just make that stuff up. It's hard.
Right.
What actors have to learn is that writers and directors just make shit up as they go along. You guys know that, right? It's called trolling. It's called like shoot shit, and then like, I think we could make this a little better.
It's funny with film, with acting on camera, right? Even if you have a lead role, rarely, if ever, where it's very rare a film, any production will shoot more than 3 to 5 pages a day. For some people on an indie budget, they have the money, they'll try to do as many as possible, yes. But on something that's well budgeted, rarely are they pounding out more than a couple pages a day. So I always hear actors freaking out like, I've got so much dialogue. It's never going to happen in one day, man. Like, because it's a hurry up and wait business, especially for character actors. And, like you say, but wow, she's got a lot of great stories. I'm sure we only scratched the surface. That actors gang. Oh my God, I'm jealous.
Brandon E. Brooks says, Patti, congrats on your career so far. I'm a huge admirer of the film Being John Malkovich.
Another great one.
Thank you. Thank you, Brandon.
Haven for Heroes said, love Ed Wood. A Facebook user said they didn't know there was a Sledgehammer comic. I want to thank you so much for joining us tonight. I hope you now consider yourself a friend of the show. If there's anything you ever want to come on and promote, or if you just want to come on and make fun of my hair, you are more than welcome to come on. I'm actually humbled to make your acquaintance and hopefully to become a friend of yours and maybe work together someday.
I would love that.
All kidding aside, you said that you have small parts, and that may be true. But you have the ability to light up a screen and to steal the scenes that you are in, which is what really makes an actor or an actress
oh my gosh,
spectacular.
Thank you so much.
It's funny because my 2 favorite actors of all time are probably some of the best character actors. I'm an enormous Donald Pleasance fan. Donald Pleasance never played the leading man, but he stole every movie he was in.
Yeah.
And I was an enormous Roddy McDowall fan, who also stole almost every movie they're in. So it's never really about the size of the role; it's about the quality of the performance.
That's right.
Absolutely. And that's why I love working with Scott, because he's an unbelievably talented actor. And Patti, you're in the same league. You're just an unbelievable.
Come on now, this one's
no.
done.
I mean,
7,000 times more work than I have.
She has way better credits than you. You're a clown.
Right. Thank you. Just want to be clear about that.
No. I meant in the league as far as talent as being an actor. If that came off, I apologize. Well, Patti, I didn't mean it that way. I mean,
oh my goodness. Well, thank you.
You're in some of the most iconic television shows and films in all time, and Scott's in my schleppy pictures. So I mean, that pretty much speaks for itself. With that With that
Hey.
being said,
I have one little tiny question, please.
Sure.
You told me to watch Spontaneous.
yes, did you watch it?
I watched it. Thank you.
What did you think of that movie?
I identified with it on so many levels. It made me think back of being that age.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like I had a very similar attitude
Mm-hmm.
to what the young gal who played the lead.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was very well written. I enjoyed it thoroughly. It was a coming of age story, and it's just so, gosh, just those young people just kissing. It was just so sweet.
You know what I love about that movie,
I
Patty,
love it.
is that it literally touches on almost every hot topic button that we face as a society in 2022. And you have to be clever enough to understand the film is a lot deeper and richer than people really realize it is, because it touches on everything from school shootings to gun violence to the problems that we're having as a society between political parties, everything that we literally, and it's not preachy. It's pretty much just showing it like it is. And it's a film that sadly kind of just came and went with nobody showing it much love.
That's too bad.
Yeah, but thank you for
And
watching
thank you
it.
for the recommendation. And you guys, thank you so much. It was just a pleasure to be with you. It really, really was.
Thank you.
Thank you. It was an
Patty,
absolute-
before you leave, can you tell folks where they can find you on social media or where they can check out on your projects?
Oh my gosh. Well, let's see. I think that I'm not really good with social media because I'm a little older. I'm on Instagram, but I haven't been there. I haven't visited lately, but I will.
All right. If they want to check up on your projects, IMDb the best, or
I don't know. I guess so. I mean, I really I don't have that together. I do Facebook
No, listen,
a little bit, but what?
You're busy acting and not playing around on social media. You're out there doing it.
Right. That's right.
There's a lot of truth to
Yeah,
that.
but otherwise, it's just, Instagram, it's just my name, Patti Tippo. Anybody can go. It's not blocked or anything. So you can see
Excellent.
some stuff.
Well, you're charming, you're beautiful, you're sweet, you're an unbelievable actress. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you so much.
And thank you for bringing
Okay.
to life, for being a part of the family that brought to life the greatest television show of all time, Sledgehammer.
It's so
awesome.
cool to have such a big fan of that show. That's really pretty amazing, pretty affirming, and such
I'm
a
actually-
boost. Scott
sorry?
knows it's not easy what we go through. So any encourage and acknowledgement is so welcome. Thank you.
You know what? You need to get yourself out on the convention circuit, because you are involved in so many beloved cult projects that I think you would be quite surprised with how many fans you would meet and who would adore to get your signature and hang out with you a few minutes. So might be something you want to consider. one day.
Okay. All right. Well, I know I keep going on and you guys are trying to, I just had dinner with Jeanette Goldstein. You know Jeanette Goldstein from
Yeah, she was
Aliens?
in the James Cameron films.
Yes.
Right.
I just was with her several hours ago, and she was off to do some kind of convention.
Oh,
Telling me,
she was in one of my favorite vampire movies, Near Dark.
Mhm.
Wonderful movie, and in Terminator. All right, we won't keep you anymore.
Okay. All right.
Patty, thank you so much for joining us tonight. And again, ladies and gentlemen, Patti Tippo, Sledgehammer, Barbed Wire, Star Trek: The Next Generation, Sid and Nancy. Thank you for joining us tonight, Nancy.
Thank you so much. you guys.
Nancy, Patty. Sid and Nancy's the movie. That's what happens when you wear a dungaree jacket because you don't want to show your old man T-shirt like George, and you start to bake in your office. And
It's a little
it's a
warm
little.
here,
What'd you say,
too.
Spitzy before?
Schwitzy. Yeah.
Schwitzy. Okay.
I mean,
Sounds like
sweaty and
sounds like a
Jewish.
Larry David word.
Yeah.
Schwitzy.
Yep.
Thank you for joining us tonight, Patty.
Okay.
Good night. Thank you very much.
Good night.
Oh,
What an amazing woman.
I love her. She's awesome.
She is awesome. Dave, before we go, can we discuss this mustache again?
Yeah, absolutely. Let me ask you something. Do you think that mustache was a choice, or B, the way it grew in when you're a kid?
C, shave it off.
That's an interesting question. I'm curious why you're asking that, because I could see that you could have intentionally gave it the Vincent Price thing.
Yeah, the
Or
pencil thin
at
mustache,
your
or
young age, you didn't have much else.
It was more of an age not having much else thing, Scott. It was kind
Okay.
of like all I had to work with.
Because it was, it's John Waters-esque.
yes.
Yeah.
John Waters.
Let's be
Yes.
honest, guys. I mean, that was 35 years ago, and hey, I don't look much different. So I'm not gonna let you guys hurt my feelings.
Well, see, unlike me, I was shaving in 5th grade.
Wow.
I really had it thick early on.
Ken says chocolate milk stash.
Dang!
No, I had a yoo-hoo before I took my senior picture.
There you go.
I mean, if it was me, hockey playoffs.
Why don't I get that?
The mustache thing. I don't know. I'm assuming that's what they're. I don't know who Facebook user. That's weird. I've never seen that before.
Is that coming in on Facebook, or is that coming in from another?
That's coming in through Facebook.
Well, that seems a little odd. That's got to be. I don't know what that is. That's Zuckerberg.
He's like, I'm going to cancel the show so I can watch the hockey playoffs. That's weird.
Well, they're saying that's weird. So okay. So who are you? Said Facebook user.
That's
Oh,
weird.
Colorado won the Stanley Cup. Excellent. I don't have to hear about Tampians.
Hey, the lovely, talented Carrie Werner.
Yay!
Wonderful partner.
Carrie,
Oh, it's Luciana.
living down here, you hear the Tampians or whatever they've been saying. It's
Well, I'm
you see
sure.
that?
Isn't O'Halloran sick? Wasn't it the Rangers?
no,
Yeah.
Rangers lost to Lightning, and then the Lightning just lost to Avalanche.
Oh.
So yes.
I'm a sports moron. I don't know anything about.
By the way, hi, Luciana. I don't know why
hi,
she's
Lucy.
coming up. Why she's coming up as Facebook user. Why would Facebook do that with one of the prettier faces we have on the show? It's just not fair. Luckily, we have Carrie to step in. Beautiful.
That's right.
Everyone.
But I agree, Carrie. Yay! I wanted to see Tampa lose. Thank you.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I want to thank the lovely and super talented Patti Tippo for joining us tonight. She was absolutely amazing, funny, charming, everything you'd want in a person and a guest. And did I really blow it? I didn't mean that whole league thing to sound like.
No. You know what I think happened? You might, you picked on a couple of her resume nuggets that might not have had the greatest overtone. But how would you know that? Yeah, it was wonderful. She is a real go-getting actor who's been doing it in the trenches forever, and I love that. And she exemplifies that. That was amazing.
Absolutely. And
David, if for one moment you think that I'm going to know somebody that you're not aware of in Hollywood or on IMDb, it's never going to happen.
There's a couple of names I was thrown.
Oh, dude, you didn't like Doctor Strange, eh?
I wasn't a fan.
No, really? Okay.
And yes.
Can I ask you a question? Could it be MCU that you're just tired of it? Like it's
yes,
too much?
It very much could be. And the CGI. I was so sick of CGI. I want to go back to the days of, come on, man. Not everything has to be a green screen.
It's funny because I watched in consecutive days The Last Spider-Man, which I'm going to say I'm not going to knock. It was a fun movie. Absolutely. And the Doctor Strange for like the third time because I'm a big Raimi fan. I'll be honest with you. But in all honesty, I don't think one frame of either one of those films were literally shot out like on location in like the daylight.
Right.
Every frame of these movies that are coming out now are so controlled looking and so. Like, I mean, do you really, if somebody's walking down the block, do you really have to CGI the buildings behind them? I mean, really? You can't find a location where, like, you could set up a crew with a handheld following a character down a block in Manhattan?
It was worth watching Bruce get, like, squirt with mustard in the face. And I'll just leave it at Bruce in case people haven't seen it, so...
You're bringing up an interesting point that we'll talk about in the future, I'm sure, but technology is taking us to a place where if that costs less and is more efficient, then somebody's going to be walking down the street and it's just a green screen street.
Scott, I can't imagine how that's cheaper. I mean,
Hey, didn't they do that with
They have the
what was
green
that
screen
movie?
all set up, and they just shoot you, and it's lit, and they can put whatever they want behind it. As
They
yeah, I
opposed
guess.
to 8 hours out in the streets for real.
They did it with
Yeah.
that Angelina Jolie movie. Was it Captain Tomorrow or something? I forget
Oh,
what it was. You know what I'm talking about. It
the one
was
with I thought that was Gwyneth Paltrow.
was it Gwyneth Paltrow? Okay,
Where
maybe it was.
with the old airline pilot,
No, this is
Sky
Sky
Captain in the
Captain
world
and the World of Tomorrow. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yep, that was
Okay, my mistake.
Gwyneth Paltrow. Yeah, no, I mean, it's just I like the movies, sure, but I don't know if I'm a big fan of the technique. Are you guys gotten into Stranger Things at all?
I have not caught up on the current
Had the
season.
chance. I should, because
I was waiting until July until the whole season was out.
Yeah, that's episode 4 of this particular season is probably some of the best TV of the last 30 years. It's just fantastic. So
Nice.
We've got something to look forward to. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us tonight. We'll be back either week after next or in 2 weeks. I'm not 100% sure, but we definitely won't be here next weekend. Everybody have a happy and safe 4th of July. I hope you get to spend it with the ones you love, and you get to blow shit up and have a great time and drink beer and eat hot dogs and do all those wonderful things. With that being said...
So 2 weeks for us? It's 2 weeks for us?
Yeah, I'm thinking it's going to be 2 weeks because my wife's birthday is the 11th of July. And we have 4th of July in between. And, we want these poor folks who have to sit through this show not have to suffer as much as they usually do.
Woohoo!
By the way, some dear friends of ours, Scott, have joined the cast of Full Moon Fever. I will get you up to date on that, and you're going to be pretty psyched because it's pretty epic stuff. With that being said, everybody, thank you again for watching the show. We'll see you in a couple weeks. And remember, no man is a failure who has friends.
And here's that great Chiafo music.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Thank you, Scott, for your great new music on the credits. Pretty epic.